Currently, the movements of the North Korean military are suspicious. They have come right up to the military demarcation line. It has also been confirmed that they are constructing various defensive facilities as well as tactical roads. It appears that they are carrying out large-scale fortification work all along the Armistice line. Let's take a closer look at this today. Let's take a look right away, but before that, let me make it clear, our main enemy is North Korea. I don't understand why people are confused about this. The war isn't over, and North Korea still provokes us. Remember, North Korea remains our main enemy. North Korea's military is confirmed to be installing barbed wire and planting landmines within 80-90 meters of the military demarcation line. Preparatory ground clearing work for laying landmines has been done 5 to 10 meters in front of the military demarcation line. Currently, such activities are being detected on virtually all fronts, including the Western Front, the Central Front, and the Eastern Front. Construction isn't finished along the whole section yet, but military authorities believe about 1/3 of the military demarcation line has been fortified. The recently confirmed details have attracted attention. The reason is that compared to the past, the location of the work has moved much further forward. North Korea has previously built military facilities near the military demarcation line, but it's highly unusual for them to install barbed wire and obstacles so close to the line as they have now. The construction activities currently confirmed in North Korea are also quite extensive. It is known that in addition to installing barbed wire, they are simultaneously creating minefields, building tactical roads, and installing obstacles. Behind the barbed wire, tactical roads for troops and vehicles are also being built. This suggests North Korea is preparing for faster military access to frontline areas. In fact, North Korea temporarily halted the construction at the end of last year, but it is reported that after resuming the work this year, they have been proceeding at a much faster pace than before. Additionally, reports say 3,000 to 5,000 North Korean soldiers now work daily around the military demarcation line, a significant increase in personnel. This figure reportedly increased fivefold, and they seem to be rushing to finish the work. The North Korean military is heavily fortifying the military demarcation line due to direct orders from Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-un ordered the area around the military demarcation line fortified in 2024, and since then, North Korea has officially adopted a hostile two-state policy. Then, in October of the same year, they began full-scale fortification work to permanently block the southern border. Since then, barbed wire has continued to be installed, landmines laid, and tactical roads built near the military demarcation line, with construction activity recently expanding. The Republic of Korea Joint Chiefs of Staff announced that the basic groundwork for turning the military demarcation line into a border was completed at the end of 2025. Of the 250 kilometers of the military demarcation line, up to 70 kilometers of tactical roads and about 90 kilometers of fencing are finished. Military authorities are mainly focused on construction speed. Initially, it was expected that the entire project would take a considerable amount of time to complete, but recently, as the number of troops deployed has increased significantly, progress is being made faster than expected. In fact, it is known that North Korea is deploying more troops to the frontline areas than last year, and the scope of the construction is also continuously expanding. As a result, it has been confirmed that barbed wire fences have now been brought down to within just a few dozen meters of the military demarcation line. This move is seen as evidence that North Korea is setting up a long-term system to manage and control the area around the military demarcation line. The Joint Chiefs of Staff expect North Korea could finish its border severance measures within 2 to 3 years at this pace. Additionally, the military is mainly worried that North Korea's fortification might alter how the military demarcation line is perceived. The North Korean military is now putting up barbed wire and obstacles near the military demarcation line. If these facilities are maintained for a long time and additional construction continues, there is a possibility that the boundary line determined by North Korea itself could actually serve as the de facto standard line on the ground. In particular, once barbed wire, minefields, and surveillance facilities are installed, it is not easy to restore them to their original state, so there are concerns that over time, a new status quo could be established. What makes things even more complicated is that there is no complete agreement on the interpretation of the current military demarcation line. It is known that there are some differences in the location of the military demarcation line as determined by the South Korean military, the North Korean military, and the United Nations Command. In this situation, if North Korea continues to install large-scale facilities near the military demarcation line, there is a possibility that the potential for future border disputes could increase. Military authorities are closely monitoring the North Korean military's the scope and location of the North Korean military's construction. Another concern is the Demilitarized zone's original purpose. The Demilitarized zone was created to keep South and North Korean forces at a certain distance so they do not come into direct contact. It serves as a buffer zone meant to prevent clashes and ease tensions. If North Korea increases barbed wire, minefields, and military facilities in the Demilitarized zone, the buffer function will be weakened. If North Korean border troops and equipment move forward, more close-range confrontations between South and North Korean forces could occur. With increased surveillance and more frequent troop movements, unexpected situations are more likely to occur. Military experts are closely watching North Korea's fortification efforts, warning that even minor misunderstandings or misjudgments on the ground could escalate tensions. Also, we should note that North Korea has greatly benefited from its role in the Ukraine war. In the past, North Korea has always prioritized strengthening its military power, but often couldn't accelerate its efforts due to financial limitations. Recently, with more foreign currency coming in from cooperation with Russia, the situation is changing. North Korea is making concentrated investments in modernizing its defense industry facilities and expanding production equipment, and it has been reported that the production output of major arms factories has actually increased significantly. Facilities for making artillery shells, multiple rocket launchers, and missiles are reportedly being expanded or reinforced. This is being interpreted as North Korea viewing the supply of weapons to Russia not as a temporary business, but as a long-term industry. Also, from North Korea's perspective, the biggest gain is not just money. In the past, weapons could only be tested and verified at test sites and training grounds, but now, as they are being used on actual battlefields, various data is being accumulated. Information about which weapons were effective, what problems occurred, and how the enemy's air defense systems respond can be continuously delivered to North Korea. This information is highly likely to be used as very important data for the development of next-generation weapons. In particular, there are analyses suggesting that the speed of performance improvements for missiles, long-range artillery, and drone systems could increase. Above all, some people say that the North Korean military's experience with drone warfare gained on the Ukrainian battlefield has little significance on the Korean peninsula. However, from a military perspective, the value of real combat experience itself is very high. North Korea's military is unlikely to apply the tactics and doctrine used on the Ukrainian battlefield, as is due to different terrain and operational environments. Instead, North Korea will likely analyze the successes and failures confirmed in real combat and try to modify and apply them to fit the environment of the Korean peninsula. In particular, areas such as drone operation methods, reconnaissance systems, artillery coordination capabilities, and battlefield information sharing systems are fields that can be fully utilized even if the region changes. Moreover, the very fact that the number of commanders and troops with actual combat experience has increased cannot be ignored. There is a clear difference between an army with real combat experience and one without. Assuming North Korea can effectively use this experience may not reflect a realistic military assessment. North Korea is observing modern warfare changes firsthand by deploying its troops. In recent wars, it is not large-scale armored units dominating the battlefield as in the past, but rather drones, reconnaissance assets, and real-time information sharing systems that often determine victory or defeat. The North Korean military is adjusting its force structure in response to changes seen on the Russian front. Some believe Kim Jong-un's recent focus on AI, drones, and electronic warfare is linked to this context. Electronic warfare is a sensitive issue for South Korea, as modern warfare relies heavily on communication networks, satellite navigation, and data link systems. If North Korea gets technology from Russia and boosts its electronic warfare, it could impact some advanced South Korean military assets during a crisis. That's why military experts are paying attention to the possibility that North Korea's current changes are not limited to the missile or nuclear weapons sectors, but could lead to a military-wide overhaul. Even more concerning, time may favor North Korea. Continued cooperation with Russia could give North Korea a stable foreign currency source, potentially fueling further military buildup. In addition, if North Korea's weapons production capacity expands, the possibility of arms deals with countries or groups other than Russia could also increase. If that happens, North Korea could shed its sanctioned image and create a new system to earn foreign currency through its defense industry. These changes may directly affect Korean Peninsula security. If North Korea gains economic and military strength, it could increase pressure on South Korea. In fact, North Korea has recently been simultaneously pushing for the fortification of the military demarcation line, the development of drones, and the strengthening of its missile capabilities. This means that North Korea is not only using its wartime windfall gains for economic recovery, but is also actively utilizing them to strengthen its military power. If these changes persist for years, significant shifts in the military balance around the Korean Peninsula are predicted.